All right, guys, so here we are, part 3 of the sleeping trailer series. Everybody's been asking. We've been putting up other videos and we've got it. So one of the most important things we've done is we've moved the trailer into my shop. So here's the front of the trailer after we get the reefer unit off and we get it reskinned with new metal. And now I know these look like buck rivets, but these are actually mushroom cap rivets. In another video, Stephen has it where I just drilled a hole in my scaffold and show you how they work. I bet he'll link that video again. That's a standard pop rivet, and that's the finish that you get. But if you take a mushroom cap, it looks like a mushroom. And if we put it in here, then that rivet looks like a bucked rivet. We just use a blind rivet, and then we put a buck rivet cap on top of it. So anyway, the front of the trailer turned out pretty good. This is kind of what we do with all of them, is we take the reefer unit off, and then we skin the front back out, and it looks just like a regular trailer again. My guy does a really good job. So he did one sheet to here, a sheet to here and there. If it was a reefer unit, you'd see there'd be a piece here and a piece here, and they put the 4-foot sheet in the middle. But anyway, it looks good. So this is where trailers come to get finished out. As you come on back through here, we're gonna have a door about here, and we're gonna have the second door about here. And back here on the ground, you can see that it's ready and waiting. The 3-inch piece of angle iron with a 3/8 wall that we've got ready. We'll cut this in half, and then we will bolt it with 1/4-20 bolts up under the trailer here to carry the weight. So if I'm gonna cut a hole here, we'll put a 10-foot piece of steel under the bottom of these to carry the weight. And then if you remember on our other sleeping trailers, we build a 24-inch under bottom compartment that we do all of the water tanks and generators and air conditioners. But anyway, we also integrate this piece of steel into that frame, and it makes it strong. So we get our sidewall strength back that we cut out when we make the door hole. And as we demo out the trailer, some of the things that we really like about is we get a bunch of extra cables, because this is a 3-zone trailer, which means that you have the zone of the front reefer, the second 2 units, and then the 3rd unit in the back, so they can actually divide it up by 3 zones. Hey, and you guys go back and look through the comments, because we had some nice folks that have watched our video that have actually driven for Walmart and other people, and they told us exactly how they loaded the trailer. In our videos, sometimes it's helpful if you would comment, or you would go back and read the comments. You can learn a lot, because there's super knowledgeable people that watch our videos and kind of keep us straight on some things. So that's pretty cool. So it looks like a complete disaster area. This is the little cage that goes over the unit that was mounted on the ceiling right there. And so we've taken those down. And again, we repurpose these. This is super lightweight aluminum, and we can reuse those. Right here are the 12-volt fans. There's 3 of them, and so there was 3 units back here. So there's 3 sets of 3. And I actually use these for ventilation inside the sleeping trailer to move the mini split air into different compartments. So it's cheaper than buying the modulated or packaged mini splits. I can just use a regular one, and then I use the same 12-volt fans to move the air around. That's pretty cool. On the floor here, you can see kind of, this is the dichotomy of how it happens. These are the old clips that held up these tracks, and this is a function of all the hardware that's left. And we have a guy that works in our company, and he recycles all this. So this is aluminum, metal, copper, a little bit of stainless, so it gets recycled. So we don't waste anything, and it goes right back into the recycling world, which is really cool. As we move forward through the trailer, you'll notice that there's this track overhead. So this track above us, it had the refrigerated pipes, copper pipes where the refrigerant ran, and it had the wiring for all these units to run the fans and the controls for all the valves to make the air conditioners at different temperatures in these zones in the back work and report the temperature back. And then we repurpose this track, and we'll put our mini split refrigerant lines in it. We'll put our electrical wires and go up to the ceiling, and then it gives us a place that above the ceiling that we can have like a wiring conduit to move water, Freon, whatever we need to, and then we can seal it up in between each of the compartments or areas. And then, as we discussed, in the back of this trailer, it's gonna have 20 feet of open space that we're gonna call flex space, that we can make maybe a kitchen for stand, a light deployment. We might put cable and tower equipment, connectors. If we were using it on one of our events and 4 guys were gonna stay here for a couple of days, you know, this could be a meeting space or an office. If we were gonna do our water projects, you might have all the water bins and different things. So we're gonna keep this logistic rail or the E-track rail. We're gonna keep the flat floor. Another nice thing about these trailers is they're flat floor instead of the refrigerated floors. Makes it easier for us to build out. But in the back is gonna be with the same roll-up door like Walmart would have used. And then we're gonna put a lift gate, because we get the roll-up doors because we do the lift gates because they work better, because obviously the doors don't get in the way since it just rolls up out of the way. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna talk about is this E-track. In the past, I would remove this because this was galvanized and sometimes it tended to corrode and I want to get rid of it. But remember when we tell you they vacuum seal these trailers on a table, so this track is flush. So if you're going to install pieces of plywood or any kind of wall or equipment, if you leave this E-track, this is aluminum, you can screw in and it gives you a good place to position. And you know, like at the base, obviously with the rub rail, you can drill into it, drill into here, and then at the top, as you can see where they had all the different tracks done where we took out the holes. If we are attaching down here, we can also use these little holes up here, and it allows us to the main beams to attach part of the structure, anything that we need. We used to take this out, but it works good to leave it in. Now on this side, you'll notice that I've removed these two sections because this is where we're going to cut the doors through. And we talk about how we take the aluminum to reframe out the structuralness of the doors that we take out. This composite sandwich of this fiberglass material on the inside, the aluminum on the outside, and then the offset of the two rails so that they don't get thermal bridging, gives us a way that this wall is really strong, but by reinforcing it back with that aluminum on the inside and out, when we put our door through here, gives us that strength that we're looking for back in the sidewall, augmented with that piece of 3-inch angle that we have under the bottom. So when we cut this hole in the door, we put all the structural strength back into the sidewall of the trailer that we need, so we don't have a problem in the future. So this is an example of a door that I did on the very first sleeping trailer. So this is a door that comes off of a mobile home or perhaps an RV. So I got it. You can see that it's pretty thin aluminum on the outside, aluminum on the inside. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've had to rebuild this door completely. Like, it had cheap interior wood components, and I've ripped it apart, and now I've got foam board in there. I've got all composite material, all plastic material, and I replaced all the wood trim with a solid plastic type material. So this was the first time I did it, and so obviously I didn't have great success with that, so we haven't done it again. As we've talked about in the past, the skin of the trailer is the strength of the trailer. And you can see here I was careful to use big rivets and go up and replace the hole that we cut. So we've got a rib here that's cut up, and then we have another rib here behind Lucky. And so we've bridged and carried that weight across. Another thing that we did that you can't see in this video is when we put this underneath skirt, we reinforced this weight right here to carry the weight. And in a couple other trailers in a minute, I'll show you how we do that. But we have to be able to replace the strength that we took out of this sidewall in this door. On the next sleeping trailer, we ended up going with 2 doors, one on the back. When we cut out this huge hole in the wall, you see here we did it, and this door worked out where we only went through 1 rib. And so the rib is here, and you can see the rib up there, and we bridged it with a piece of aluminum. We got a little bit more sophisticated, and this time we bought a composite core door from Home Depot. If you look under one of these trailers, you'll notice that there's no main beam. And then when we cut the sidewall out, right around in here, we'll have like the second door, and we'll try to work it out so instead of cutting 2 posts, since the door's gonna be less than 36, we'll be able to just cut 1 post, and then we'll bridge this out to get the strength of that panel back together. But at the same time, because we're gonna be taking this sidewall strength out of the trailer in 2 places on this side, we're gonna come back under the bottom, and we're gonna put a piece of heavy steel, and we're gonna fasten it to both of these cross members with 1/4-20 bolts or 5/16 bolts, and use 2 of them. But we've got to get this bottom rail strength put back together where we take and compromise it out of the panel in the side, because the side panel is where the vertical strength, it's like a truss, and that's what carries the weight of the trailer so it doesn't sink in the middle. So you'll notice this large set of copper pipes on the ground. There were 4 runs of copper pipe that ran from the front of the reefer unit to the back. They all were connected together with this copper pipe. So like I said, we have a guy in the company that takes and recycles all this material. So that's really handy, but that's what this copper pipe is left over from. And then there's still a few pieces of stainless and aluminum trim up here that had the reefer unit mounted in it. And this is that hole that we've talked about where the reefer unit comes out. Now, if you guys were utilizing this for a tiny home, this would be a great place to put like a picture window and maybe work your design out so that the kitchen would kind of go in this area, so you'd have a great picture window right here. We don't want that. We've got some closed cell foam, and we'll fill this whole cavity up with foam, and then we'll use like the can foam to seal that up good and just get this whole front area, get the thermal envelope put back together. But that's what we're gonna do up here. So this is the kind of foam we use. We know it's a closed cell foam. This 2-inch board, 1-inch board, 3/4 board, and we're able to use all the different sizes in to make it work out to the front, so we get a complete thermal envelope to put it back together just like it was. In 2 inches here, you can see you get R10. We're gonna have nearly R20 in the front, which is gonna be very similar to the roof and the bottom. The sidewalls, I think in this trailer are only 1 inch thick, so we're gonna be even thicker. I think the front is 4 inches where they have the reefer unit and the strength. So we'll be good to go. And put a piece of plywood over the whole thing. So we'll replace the thermal envelope of this big window where the reefer unit goes through. This front bunk room, when we do hurricanes, would be Stephen. So Stephen will be nice and toasty or nice and cool, depending on the weather, up here in the front as we configure the trailer for living spaces. All right guys, so here we are on the door cutting part. So we'll show you this one. So if you notice right here, you'll see that when they build these trailers, this little cut right here is for the tandems to go under it and the truck to turn. And obviously these things are designed to be used in the over-road application. And like, I think every notch on a fifth wheel when it slides kind of puts 500 pounds on the front axle if the trailer, the whole system's loaded 80,000, about in there. We run all of our fifth wheels all the way to the back because of the type of trailers that we run typically. So I can come 4 feet back from the fifth wheel knowing that our fifth wheels are all the way back, which puts them right in the center of the tandems on the big truck. And so I'll make this radius here and cut this out. But this piece of 3/8, 3-inch heavy steel is bolted to the bottom, and you notice that it's 10 foot long, and it takes up the opening of the door, and it puts the strength back in this trailer that we took out when we cut the sidewall out. Now we left the bottom in here obviously, and inside there the scuff plate, you know, it kind of comes through there and we'll leave the bottom of it. But this piece down here is the reinforcement that allows us to cut this piece out. And so then we taped it and we measured it, and we optimized it so that we didn't cut but through 2 of these panel things. I could have got it all in one panel, but the way that we're doing this particular design, I really couldn't. So the door kind of had to go here. I don't really think it's a problem, but then as you'll see in the later videos, when we put this door in, we're gonna reinforce this opening with a piece of aluminum all the way around it, plus the wood. And so we're gonna get some of that strength back. But if you ever look at refrigerated trailers that are made by commercial providers like Great Dane or other people, if you see them put these side doors in, you see them put in a swedged plate that comes through here to add this strength back in this bottom rail. Now they only usually go to about here, and it's a thicker piece of aluminum that they rivet over because they know the door's coming. So I feel pretty comfortable with this. We also right here, this will be reinforced down, and this will go under the bottom, and we'll have a place for our 2 mini split air conditioners here. And so we'll get more strength in here, and then there'll be more aluminum. This same aluminum will come down and reinforce that. So we'll put a lot of the strength back in there. And then we're gonna finish this cut. And because this trailer's 3 inches thick, my blade only cuts 2.5. So we've made these corner holes so that we know how to line up on the inside. And we'll go inside and we'll measure in case I got off. I tried to go straight in, but we'll verify the width and everything, and we'll recut the inside for the opening and follow along. It was funny. Stephen's a little younger than I am. I called it a skill saw, and he says, and you know, Stephen's a real smart kid, but he's never been around construction stuff. He says, so does that mean you have to use your skill to drive it? And I'm like, no, that was the brand name of the people, I guess, that invented it. I don't really know, but it's technically a circular saw, and I'm just using a pretty wide tooth, like a low tooth count carbide tip blade, and you see how good it cuts the aluminum. Was that the money shot?
Yeah.
We're gonna build in all the rooms and start doing all the construction. And then when we get that finished, we'll carry it back up to the warehouse and we'll weld all the outside stuff on and start getting the water tanks ordered and all that kind of thing. We are bringing you guys along as we build the trailer. Usually I have about 8 months to a year in one of these trailers. So, you know, to kind of reset everybody's expectations. We appreciate you watching. And as always, if you have any questions, you know, put them in the comments. You know, we're still a small YouTube channel, so we're going to answer every question or comment that needs to be addressed in the comments. So if you have any questions, put it down there. Take 1 minute to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Don't miss a video with us. And like I say, leave us a comment. We'll answer it. And we use the comments as inspirations to do other videos for you guys. So I appreciate you following along. Part 3 of the sleeping trailer series, and we'll get into some more fun on the next one.